WOUB.
Tonight on Newswatch, the Athens County Democratic Party continues to clean up after its office was vandalized. Plus, nationwide gun violence over the holiday weekend. And the summer cookout season is here. We'll let you know how to save before you light up the grill. Newswatch starts right now. The Athens County Democratic Party is cleaning up after its office was vandalized. Good evening, I'm Connor Woodruff. Welcome to Newswatch. The front window at the Athens County Democratic Party office was found smashed yesterday morning. According to a release from the group, someone threw a rock through the window, completely shattering the glass. The organization has used this space on East State Street in Athens since 2018. No one was in the office at the time. Athens County Democratic Party Chair Sean Parsons says they will continue working ahead of the August special election.
Our office is still open. We're going to be expanding our hours right now Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 1 to 4 so people can come in, get more information about issue 1.
The Athens City Police Department is investigating the incident. No suspect or motive has been identified. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is asking President Biden to issue a disaster declaration for East Palestine following a toxic train derailment earlier this year. A Norfolk Southern train derailed back in February, leading to a release of hazardous chemicals in the area. DeWine says a declaration is needed to ensure federal and state governments use all resources available to assist the community. Norfolk Southern has reimbursed citizens and local governments for damages from the accident, but DeWine is concerned that the train company may end its voluntary aid while future costs and developments have not been identified. Ohio's operating budget is signed into law. Governor DeWine signed the bill Monday after vetoing 44 sections of the budget. The governor has line item veto powers, meaning he has the final say on what stays in the budget. According to DeWine's office, the budget focuses on providing new economic opportunities and investing in mental health and infrastructure. DeWine says the budget shows lawmakers are serious about the state's future.
This is a big deal. This says we are serious about focusing on the future. We're serious about focusing on our kids.
Kept in the budget, a controversial provision creates a private school ed choice voucher program to any family that wants them. A proposal to strip power from elected members of the state school board, a ruling making it mandatory social media companies verify the age of the users and get parental consent for users under 16, and the creation of a nonprofit corporation for $1.1 billion in opioid settlement money. An amendment guaranteeing abortion rights in Ohio will go before voters this fall. Abortion rights activists submitted over 700,000 signatures for the amendment to the Secretary of State today. Abortions in Ohio were nearly banned last summer before a court pulled a hold on the state's 6-week ban. Pro-Choice Ohio Executive Director Kelly Copeland hopes this amendment will pass and protect reproductive rights in Ohio. He says, quote, "We will win in November when we vote yes," end quote. Also expected on the ballot this fall, an amendment legalizing marijuana use in the state. Petitioners campaigning for legalization of recreational marijuana in Ohio also turned in their signatures. The Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol Coalition submitted over 200,000 signatures in favor of the amendment. If passed, the measure would allow Ohioans aged 21 and older to buy and possess 2.5 ounces of cannabis and grow up to 6 plants individually. Under the law, products would be taxed by 10%, with funds going towards administrative costs, addiction treatment programs, and a social equity and jobs program. Ohio Lieutenant Governor John Husted says he will vote yes on an issue to raise the threshold to add an amendment to the state's constitution. Issue 1 would require 60% voters' approval for future amendments and would increase signature requirements to get amendments onto the ballot. Husted says he believes the issue will help keep special interest groups from trying to buy their way into the Constitution. Husted joins a number of other Republican lawmakers who support the amendment. Some of those lawmakers have said Issue 1 is to shut down an abortion rights issue before voters in November. We're now taking a live look outside at Ohio University's campus on what has been an incredibly hot and sunny day here in Athens, though it looks like things may be starting to cool down for this evening. Joining us is Newswatch forecaster Emily Dietz. Emily, I know we had a bit of rain yesterday, but how are things looking for those traveling back home tonight?
Yeah, so we're seeing a bit of rain across the country. We've got a line of rain stretching up from Michigan down towards Arkansas, and there's a big sort of cell of rain over the Carolina area. So if you're in any of those areas, you might see some rain for just a bit. But here in Ohio, we're not really seeing anything. We've got a couple of pop-up showers in the northwest as well as the southwest. But here in southeast Ohio, things will be pretty clear until we move into Thursday. But for now, it's looking pretty warm outside, and we're seeing partly cloudy skies. It's about 91, so man, it is hot outside. And you may have noticed if you're outside at all yesterday celebrating the 4th of July, that we saw some really warm weather as well. Yesterday, we were up into the 90s, and overnight, it dipped down into the 60s, but then today we picked back up, and right now it's about 91 in Athens and 90 in Newark, whereas Lancaster and Zanesville, it's about 88. So we're still seeing a lot of this warm weather coming, and a lot of that is being fueled by this high pressure that's been sitting over near Ohio for a bit. Now, that high pressure has helped push some clouds out of the way, and that allows for a lot of this sun to come in and warm everything up. And with that sunshine comes a high UV index, since we have a high humidity level, and that UV index is going to really cause some burning as well, since we were seeing that UV around 8 or 9. And with that sunshine also comes that heat that you're going to be feeling. Now, we've seen a lot of clouds sort of pass by from that high pressure, and actually towards the west, we're going to see some clouds start to roll in within the next day or two, and that's from a low pressure system that's beginning to develop, and we might see a little bit of rain Thursday night. So stay tuned for my full forecast. So we're going to look at that rain on its way.
Thanks, Emily. We can celebrate America every day, but today is the last day Ohioans can legally celebrate the USA with fireworks. A bill passed by the Ohio legislature back in 2021 limited when consumer-grade fireworks were allowed to be shot. Tonight, Ohioans will be allowed to shoot off fireworks between 4 and 11 p.m. According to Ohio law, the next time Ohioans can legally fire consumer-grade fireworks is on Labor Day. A former Arts West employee is raising concerns about what she believes is a lack of funding for the facility. Former program specialist Emily Beveridge spoke during the last Athens Municipal Arts Commission meeting, saying the $20,000 to $30,000 Arts West is given per year to fund its own programming is not enough. There's only one paid staff member at Arts West after Beveridge's departure, leading to no summer programming and limited hours. Beveridge says she believes the For Arts Ordinance, which allocates funds from public construction projects toward the arts, may not be appropriately utilized. Ohio University is starting off July with arts opportunities for children. The wearable art class took kids 10 to 14 out today, with the goal of finding nature to repurpose. Pine cones, bark, grass, and clovers are all among the items the class found to transform into a wearable piece of art. Instructor Len Loomis says the class presents opportunities for kids to tap into their creative abilities and have fun.
But it's super, super fun to join up all together and make things that are purely from their imagination. So I've been having a lot of fun hearing the stories that they come up with and the characters that they want to create this week.
Students in the week-long camps have the chance to make masks and other parts for an animal costume, while learning skills like sewing, weaving, and construction. Tune in tomorrow for more on why these opportunities are important. The Mount Zion Baptist Church's Preservation Society is selling the historic church's pews. The sale is raising money to renovate the church building. Getting rid of the pews also allows for more space for events and student programming. Organizers say they hope the church can be more than just a religious sanctuary. Preservation Society President Ada Woodson Adams says the multi-million-dollar project is coming along slowly.
Fundraising is slow, but if we can raise just $3 million, that'll get us almost finished with the church.
The group hopes pew sales will help them take another small step toward their goal. One buyer from San Antonio, Texas, drove to Athens to buy 16 pews at $85 apiece. Coming up after the break, the trip back home for millions of July 4th air travelers is expected to be smoother. Plus, multiple mass shootings take place over the holiday weekend.
We are seeing some low pressure start to develop out to the west that may be moving into Ohio within the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that when Newswatch returns.
On Finding Your Roots, Angelica Houston,
No idea that she was living this kind of life.
Mia Farrow,
It's much worse than I thought it would be.
and Isabella Rossellini.
She always said that she didn't want to have roots.
Ancestry uncovers a painful past
I see why my father never mentioned his father now.
as DNA reveals
You want to meet this person?
a surprise.
That's hysterical.
Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, this is Irene. Irene's grandfather made this violin.
He was highly regarded. He worked for the top players of that time. Holy Hannah. Wowzer. Shut the front door, girl. Are you serious?
Does this musical heirloom tug at your heartstrings? Watch next time on Antiques Roadshow from Omaha, Nebraska.
Monday at 8 on WOUB.
This is the closest we'll get to an alien on Earth. Octopuses couldn't be more different from us, but is a connection possible?
You look at them and you feel like they're looking back. That's not an illusion. They are looking back.
One man will find out. He'll bring an octopus into his home and introduce her to the family.
Well, now she's filming me.
Hi, Heidi.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
So close, but so mysterious.
Venus, Earth's less fortunate twin. And today, a scorched hellscape. What went wrong? And are we next?
The sun dictates our fate.
The planets, inner worlds, on Nova.
Wednesday at 10 on WOUB.
After getting off to a rocky start last week, the trip back home for millions of July 4th air travelers is expected to be smoother. But the summer travel season isn't expected to cool down, and no matter how ready airlines are, no one can control the weather. Karen Kafa takes a look at what lessons can be learned from this record-breaking travel weekend and how to prepare for upcoming trips.
Summer travel is booming as millions of Americans skip town for Independence Day getaways.
This July 4th period is record-breaking for the travel industry.
TSA screened more than 2.88 million people last Friday, the most in a single day since the founding of the agency in late 2001. But a meltdown at United Airlines early last week, followed by severe storms across much of the country, led to long delays and thousands of cancellations leading up to and throughout the holiday travel period.
Absolutely horrific.
Leaving many passengers stranded.
Flight got canceled Tuesday, stayed in a hotel. I stood in line for 4 hours at 4 o'clock in the morning to rebook the flight.
And putting airlines to the test.
It was just kind of a catastrophic event. Some airlines were just not able to kind of get on the right foot.
Going's Katie Nastro says travelers flying this week should have better luck.
I think people should just be cautiously optimistic, not only looking forward into the rest of this week if they're traveling home, but as well looking into the rest of the summer.
And if you do have an upcoming trip planned, Nastro says to avoid travel trauma, try to book morning departures, prioritize nonstop flights, and be prepared for crowds.
Always give yourself more time than you need, especially the fact that we are going to be seeing more people traveling and, again, longer lines pretty much everywhere.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
July 4th celebrations across the country were disrupted by gun violence this weekend. From a 4th of July block party in Louisiana to what authorities say was an armored gunman in Philadelphia, seemingly shooting victims at random. Mike Valerio takes us through what happened and the visceral reaction to the violence.
Amid celebrations of freedom, a sense of inescapable violence. Mass shootings marring the long 4th of July weekend across America. In the birthplace of American democracy, Philadelphia, 5 are dead after police say a gunman wearing a bulletproof vest carrying a device that tracks first responders' radio communications opened fire with an assault weapon, shooting seemingly random victims.
Point of fact is, a person like that walking down a city street with an AR-15 and shooting randomly at people is a disgraceful situation in the United States of America, whether it's July 4th or any other day.
Philly's district attorney not holding back about the state's gun laws.
Pennsylvania's gun regulation is crap. It is crap. If you go to New Jersey, if you go to other states nearby, you go to Delaware, These states are safer, and they are states that have more reasonable gun regulation.
The scenes are spread across the country, from 9 injured in Washington, D.C. to at least 10 people shot in Shreveport, Louisiana. 4 of the Shreveport victims are dead, killed at a July 4th block party.
At this point, what I am looking for is justice.
In Tampa, police say an argument over jet skis led to senseless gunfire, a stray bullet killing a 7-year-old boy.
There was no reason, no excuse that an argument can lead to gunfire, much less an argument over jet skis.
Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Mike Valerio.
According to new research, the July 4th holiday has seen the most mass shootings than any other day over the past few years. According to data from the Gun Violence Archive, since 2014, the Independence Day holiday has had the most mass shootings compared to the rest of the year. The July 4th holiday weekends from 2020 through 2022 saw double-digit shootings in a single day. The findings say of the top 10 days with the most mass shootings since 2014, all but New Year's Day took place in June, July, or August.
Good evening. Happy Wednesday from another hot day down here in Southeast Ohio. Right now it's about 91 with partly cloudy skies, and today was pretty similar to what we saw yesterday. Increasing air temperatures and partly cloudy skies, and a lot of that is due to this high pressure that's been sitting over the region for the past day or so. Now this high pressure really pushed some clouds out of the way, and we saw some clouds earlier in the morning yesterday. Those cleared up by the afternoon, leaving us with a beautiful 4th of July. But today we're going to see this high pressure continue to make its way towards the east, leaving us with a couple sparse clouds going into this evening, mainly into tomorrow. Now we also have a little bit of low pressure going on out to the west. You can see that's producing a bit of rain, and we're expecting that to move in Thursday evening, and I'll talk about that more here in just a bit. Now, if you're outside at all yesterday, you may have noticed it's been really hot outside. And if you look at your phone, you may also see temperatures there. It says it's outside, it's 80 degrees, but it feels like 90. And that is what we call the heat index. And that is your feels like temperature. Now, the heat index is affected by a couple of things, one being the air temperature and another being the humidity levels. So when you have a relative humidity that's high, that means your air is pretty saturated. And when you have high temperatures as well, your body tries to sweat to try and evaporate that water that it condenses on your body to cool you off. But when you have really saturated air, your body's unable to sweat, which makes it feel a lot warmer. And that's why we see a larger heat index when we have these humid days and these really warm days. And that's what we saw yesterday and a little bit today. But tonight we'll see mostly clear skies with an overnight low of about 67. So it'll be a pretty refreshing night outside. Still a little muggy, but not quite as muggy as we've seen the past couple of days. And tomorrow we are expecting a high of about 89. So another pretty hot day. Heat index maybe being into the 90s. So if you're going to be outside at all during the day, make sure you're drinking plenty of water, because even though we see a 50% chance of thunderstorms, once again, that's going to be in the evening, and we're still going to see this UV index be of close to an 8, even close to a 9 around 2 or 3 o'clock. So that's going to be from that high pressure that's now moving away. And tomorrow we're going to see this low pressure with that cold front start to push into Ohio, mainly tomorrow night. That's when we see a lot of this green coverage moving into Ohio, producing a bit of rain going on. But that's going to be pretty brief since this system is very shallow, so that might just be going on for an hour or two, not expecting too much rain to happen. And into Friday, we'll just see a lightening up of that rain, a lot of cloud coverage going on as well, as we see some high pressure coming in right behind it. Now Friday, we've got that 30% chance of showers, and we're going to see a slight drop in temperature over the next day or so since we have that cold front moving through. And what happens is when that cold front meets up with this warm air in front of it, it causes this warm air to rapidly rise. And when that warm air is saturated, it condenses into thunderstorms, and that's why we're seeing that 50% chance of thunderstorms on Thursday, and that's going to start to wind down a little bit going into this weekend. But we're going to be looking at more low pressure start to spin up on Saturday night, moving into Sunday, producing maybe another rainy weekend. I know I'm really hoping that that sort of stays away from us so we can finally have sunny Saturdays and Sundays. Back over to you, Connor.
Thanks, Emily. Officials are increasing patrols on New York's Long Island beaches following a string of possible shark attacks. In just 2 days, 4 people were reported bitten. The incidents happening during the busy July 4th holiday weekend as people flooded to the beach. Jen Sullivan has some tips from a shark expert on how to diminish your chances of an attack.
Beaches on New York's Long Island were packed with people over the 4th of July holiday. But now, officials sending a warning to swimmers and ramping up patrols after a string of possible shark attacks.
We have more surveillance, more lifeguards out there than we've ever had in the past.
In just 2 days, 4 people were reported bitten off the coast of Long Island. On Tuesday, 2 attacks minutes apart. 2 men in their 40s. On Monday, 2 15-year-olds bitten in separate attacks. None of the bites were life-threatening, but the incidents have left many swimmers on high alert.
When Jaws came out, I went to see it in the movie theater. I would not go in the water for like 10 years after that. And now that there's actual sharks in the water, I probably won't anytime soon.
One shark expert says Long Island has a large sand tiger shark population and says these attacks could be caused by juveniles mistaking people for prey.
If visibility is low and there's lots of people in the water, accidents can happen.
Beachgoers stumbling upon a possible dead sand tiger shark, which washed up on shore in Southampton, New York, estimating it was 7 feet long. It's not just New York that's been plagued by recent shark sightings. In Florida, swimmers were stunned when a shark was spotted swimming in shallow waters right near the shore. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
People should always swim in groups. They shouldn't stray too far from the shore, and they should particularly avoid bait fish.
While these attacks are terrifying, experts say they are still very rare. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
After the break, ways to save before your summer barbecue. And to stay up to date on the latest from Newswatch, check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Welcome to the age of humans.
These guys didn't sprout wings, we brought them here.
Horses, they're not native.
They're not native.
Just got smacked by a cart. We have one chance to stop that movement.
It is an integral part of our story.
Do you consider humans an invasive species?
It's absolutely the most invasive of all species.
Yeah.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Here's what's new this month with Passport.
Will, this changes everything.
No, that's every blues singer in the country was doing that.
In the 1960s, hip-hop became our voice.
Draw your arrow to the head! These and all your favorite shows are available with Passport. Support your PBS station and stream more with Passport on the PBS app.
What would you want people to know about your story?
The spiritual connection to life allows us to empower ourselves.
We have to not be afraid.
The least that I could do is to fight.
Anything is possible. It's joyful.
It was this incredible sense of belonging. Finally, I wasn't alone.
There are hundreds of historical monuments across America.
It represents determination, commitment to the future.
These markers are one way a nation tells its story.
For us, the eagle is more than just a symbol. It's a relative.
But how we perceive them changes over time.
What it's supposed to symbolize is the abolition of slavery.
I would love for the whole story to be told about Stone Mountain.
Iconic America. New episode July 11th on PBS and the PBS app.
The July 4th holiday has kicked off the season of summer cookouts, and if you're hosting several celebrations this summer, the costs can add up quickly. Patrick Cornell has 5 tips to help you save while still enjoying delicious and memorable gatherings.
The season of festive cookouts and barbecues is here, and the cost for those feasts can add up fast. While the cost to host gatherings this summer is slightly down this year, it's still the second highest cookout cost on record at nearly $70 for a party of 10. That's according to the Farm Bureau.
The biggest thing to do when you're preparing your meal plan, your menu, is to shop the sales and plan your menu accordingly.
Jessica Allen from the website Living Well, Spending Less has 5 tips to help you host several memorable cookouts this summer without breaking the bank. 1, use what you have at home. Don't forget what you already have in your freezer, fridge, and your pantry.
You've already purchased those items. Don't let them go to waste. Get creative and create a spread with what you already have on hand.
2, keep your menu simple and set your budget before you head to the store. 3, buy in bulk and go generic. When it comes to drinks and chips, buying in bulk can reduce costs. 4, if you're planning to grill, think through different cuts of meat that stretch a little further, or go with chicken instead of beef. Chicken breast is down nearly 2% in price compared to last year. And 5, get creative and go for a meatless meal altogether. There are plenty of recipes that use veggies or less expensive items.
Get all of those colors in there. It makes your tablescape look beautiful. It's fresh, it's good for you, and it saves you a little money too.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Patrick Cornell.
A bonus tip, turn your cookout into a potluck. You can encourage guests to bring a side dish or dessert to share. That way your hosting costs are lower and you get a more varied food spread. When we return, a chick is adopted by a pack of flamingos. But first, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
What would you want people to know about your story?
The spiritual connection to life allows us to empower ourselves.
We have to not be afraid.
The least that I could do is to fight. Anything is possible. It's joyful.
It was this incredible sense of belonging. Finally, I wasn't alone.
Story is the means through which people and places achieve immortality.
The series captures all different genres of storytellers. People like Pulitzer Prize-winning poet Jericho Brown.
Poems are always after your subconscious or your unconscious.
Mary Steenburgen.
I loved being a trainman's daughter. I was proud of it.
And Billy Bob Thornton.
The South is made for writers. The ultimate beauty in writing is something that makes you expand as a soul or a person.
Our culture is still being informed. It's still ongoing. We don't have a settled history. William Faulkner said, the Southerner feels a compulsion to explain.
I think what surprised me the most is how much the South is changing and how rapidly it was changing even during the production of this. A lot of the culture that's been there for a very long time is disappearing fast.
Much of what we want to remember, much of what we need to know gets erased.
Story is a thing that we carry with us each and every day.
The literary canon has kept us out. Our stories deserve to be heard.
Our culture is still open for interpretation and explanation and exploration, and I think that's what makes storytelling so vital in the South.
Finally tonight, this flamingo chick now has adopted parents after its biological family abandoned it at its egg. Keepers at WOUB Zoo say they monitored the egg in a nursery and then put in a flamingo couple's nest. The nest belongs to birds named Florence and Freddie, who have taken the chicken under their wings. They both feed the hatchling crop milk that comes from their digestive tracts. According to the British Zoo, the fluffy gray chicks is now 2 weeks old and doing well. Now over to Emily with a final look at your final weather. Emily?
Tonight we're expecting mostly clear skies, with an overnight low of about 67. So cool down a little bit from today. It's been pretty hot. We've been up in the 90s, and tomorrow will be pretty similar to today as well, with a high of about 89, and we're looking at a 50% chance of thunderstorms. That's going to start around the evening time since we have a low pressure system with a cold front attached moving through, and that cold front right up against all that warm air allows for a lot of convection to happen, and that's what's going to create those possible thunderstorms, and it's going to start to thin down as we go into Friday. So we'll just see some cloudy skies and a really low chance of rain on Friday, but Saturday and Sunday we're looking at more rain possibly for another rainy weekend here. I know I'm getting tired of that rain, but hopefully it'll go away later next week.
Thanks, Emily. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Emily Dietz, I'm Connor Woodruff. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime on WOUB.org or follow us on social media. Have a great night.